Nearly half of the area of the Lublin region is occupied by arable lands. These are both fertile and poor lands. Good quality soil dominates in the central and southeast part of the region. While poor soil is found mostly in the north and northeast. Soils of good quality are often characterized by intensive agricultural production. Excessive use of mineral fertilizers and pesticides, simplified crop rotation, as well as land consolidation are the main threats to biodiversity on arable lands. These factors determine the level of intensity of agriculture. One of the groups of organisms highly responsive to the intensification of agriculture, especially to pesticides, are spiders. These predators are common on arable lands, where they perform an important function in reducing the number of crop pests. Chemical pesticides are the biggest threat to the spiders of farmlands. Among them, insecticides have the strongest effect. Non-selective insecticides destroy up to 100% of spiders, while selective ones, such as pyrethroids, may limit the population even up to 60%.
Spośród pestycydów również niebezpieczne są herbicydy i fungicydy.
Herbicides and fungicides are also dangerous. They can influence the mating behavior or food habits of spiders.
Zwyczaje związane z pobieraniem pożywienia.
It is not only intensive farming that has a negative impact on the biodiversity of arable lands. Also, excessive extensification may contribute to the decline in biodiversity. A factor which negatively affects biodiversity is the abandonment of agricultural use. This phenomenon was less intensive before the Polish accession to the European Union. Nowadays, most land is being abandoned in southeast Poland, in the Małopolskie, Podkarpackie and Świętokrzyskie regions, where fragmentation of agriculture is the highest. Discontinuation of cultivation and abandonment of arable lands cause fields to overgrow. In such conditions, a lot of invasive plant species may occur, for example the Canadian goldenrod. In the following years of plant succession, shrubs and trees enter the field. The habitat conditions under those plants no longer matches the needs of open area species. The current form of agriculture in the Lublin province, as well as in other regions of the European Union, is determined mostly by the common agricultural policy. This policy contributes to the intensification of agriculture, which results in many negative consequences for the natural environment. In recent years, however, the European Union's approach to agriculture has changed. Nowadays, more and more funding is allocated to the development of nature-friendly agriculture. Such nature-friendly agricultural farming system is, for example, organic farming. There are two key elements that determine the effect of organic agriculture on the environment.
Jest to fakt, iż
First, it is the ban on chemical pesticides.
Środków ochrony roślin. I drugi
Second,
element to
it is
jest
diversified crop
zróżnicowany
rotation.
płodozmian. Jeżeli chodzi o pierwszy element związany z zakazem stosowania chemicznych środków ochrony roślin,
The
fakt
prohibition
ten
of
powoduje, iż
pesticides results in the need to use
korzystać
other
z
methods of
innych
plant
metod
protection.
ochrony roślin. Wśród nich
One of the most important among them is biological plant protection, which is based on the use of natural enemies of pests.
naturalnych wrogów, szkodników. Utrzymanie takiej wysokiej różnorodności
Maintaining high
biologicznej,
biodiversity,
właśnie
including
różnorodności
the
owadów
diversity of
dożywiecznych,
beneficial insects,
powinno być jednym z
should be one of the
najważniejszych
objectives
celów
of organic
rolnictwa,
farming.
ekologicznego.
A well-planned and biologically justified crop rotation is an important part of the organic farming system.
Przyrodniczo poprawny płodozmian jest centralnym elementem rolnictwa ekologicznego. Różnorodność uprawianych
Correct crop
gatunków
rotation is the centerpiece of organic farming.
roślin, wieloletnich,
The diversity of cultivated cereals, perennials, legumes and intercrops
zapewnia
promotes soil
odpowiednią
fertility,
urodzajność
but
gleby,
is also
ale
food
również
source
jest
for
bazą
associated
pokarmową,
plants.
swoistą zieloną taśmą dla organizmów towarzyszących. Poza tym resztki roślinne, właśnie
A
różnorodne,
variety of plant residues reaching the soil contributes to a high diversity of living soil organisms, which reduces a living space for pathogenic organisms.
zmniejsza przestrzeń życiową dla organizmów patogenicznych. Najwartościowszym elementem takiego płodozmianu są
The most valuable component of crop rotation is temporary meadows and grasslands, with clovers, alfalfas and grasses which are not only a source of animal feed, but also an excellent pasture for butterflies.
także świetnym pastwiskiem między innymi dla motyli.
The presence of species other than crops in the midst of fields is not always neutral to cultivated plants. Such species are regarded as weeds. Their presence causes lower plant yields in general. However, weeds not only compete with crop plants, but paradoxically they have a positive impact on them.
Chwasty zapewniają także szereg korzystnych.
Weeds also provide a number of benefits for farmers and the society. We call them the ecosystem services. One of them is the provision of food and shelter for beneficial insects, including pollinators and antagonists of crop pests. Weeds can also deter pests. For example, the chamomile deters aphids.
Odstrasza mszyce. Biomasa z chwastów może chronić glebę przed erozją.
The
szczególnie w
biomass of
okresach,
weeds
w
can
których
protect the
pozbawiona
soil
jest ona
from degradation,
pokrywy z roślin
especially
uprawnej.
during periods in
Jej
which it is not
właściwością
covered with
aromatycznym
crops.
chwasty mogą
Thanks to its allelophatic properties, weeds can stimulate the growth of crops or limit the growth of
biomasa
weeds.
chwastów
Weed biomass provides protection against water and wind erosion, particularly during periods without crops that cover the soil.
Ziemia pozbawiona jest okrywy z rośliny uprawnej. Ta biomasa chwastów
Weed biomass is a valuable source of organic matter for the soil.
dla gleby.
Niektóre gatunki chwastów, jak obecny tutaj też w łanie ostrożeń polnych,
The creeping thistle, which is one of the weed species that can cause yield losses, has also a positive function because it's a refuge for a variety of butterflies of the Papilionidae family.
gatunków motyli z rodziny paziowatych, rusałkowatych. Gatunki te
These
często
species of
składają
butterflies
jaja
often lay their
żywego,
eggs on the
ale
leaves of
też
nettles and
pochodzenia.
thistles. Their nectar can also be a valuable food for them. There are a number of other weed species which have a positive impact on biodiversity. One of them is the broad-leaved dock.
Czaftem polistny stanowi bazę pokarmową
The
dla bardzo
broad-leaved
wielu
dock
gatunków
provides a
owadów.
food base for many invertebrate species and indirectly for birds.
Chodzi o to,
The The balance between the density of crops and weeds is crucial for the organic farming system.
I roślin towarzyszących. Dzięki temu możliwe jest
This facilitates the achievement of two different objectives: high yield and biodiversity conservation. The use of herbicides is a common method of weed management. Unfortunately, sprayed chemicals affect not only undesirable plant species, but also other useful plants.
Herbicydy to środki ochrony roślin, które posiadają w składzie
Herbicides are plant protection products which, thanks to their active substances, when applied to weeds, cause their decay while causing no harm to the crop.
rośliny uprawnej.
A properly selected and applied herbicide is highly effective. However, many years of use of the same, initially effective herbicide results in weeds developing a resistance to the active substances. To prevent this, a rotational use of herbicides with a different mechanism of action is necessary. This approach has been mandatory in Poland since 2014. That is, the introduction of integrated pest management practices. The use of herbicides has been brought down to a minimum level in some systems of agricultural production. It is also possible to produce food without the use of chemical pesticides. So do organic farmers, very numerous in the Lublin region.
Robercie, w rolnictwie ekologicznym nie można stosować herbicydów.
Robert, herbicides are not allowed in organic farming. That makes weed management difficult because farmers have fewer tools to fight them. In your rye we can see weeds, but they are not abundant.
Jesteśmy przy Twoim życie, w którym jest trochę chwastów, ale nie ma ich dużo.
Może zaczniemy od tego, że
Yes, the most important thing is crop rotation. There are no monocultures in here. Cereals are not grown after cereals. The next thing is a direct control with a harrow weeder. For example, in this rye, a harrow weeder was used in spring once. No other treatments were needed. We do not eliminate 100% of weeds, so they will always be here. The thing is that they were not a threat to crop plants, so they do not create the unfavorable conditions after the harvest, as the peas do. The peas which we can see here is currently much lower than the rye, but at a later time, when the rye will be overweighed by its spikes, peas will be able to grow over the rye and lay on the top of it, which is a threat. There will always be a small amount of weeds. I think that, in fact, they are desirable.
Myślę, że ona jest pożądana wręcz.
Celem rolnictwa konwencjonalnego jest jednak
The goal of conventional agriculture is the complete elimination of weeds. On the other hand, as you've mentioned, organic farming is not about complete elimination of weeds. It turns out that a small number of them is not so bad. Is that correct? Yes, we are trying to keep weeds at a certain level. For example, in the vegetables and herbs we grow, weed management is continued to a certain moment. This is justified economically and agriculturally, because if crop plants already cover the interrows, the fight against weeds is impossible. We cannot enter there anymore with a harrow weeder. The weeds will come out later, but we try to keep them at a level that does not threaten our crops. Many species of birds can be found among the fields of Lubelskie. Generally, for every 10 of them, 8 are skylarks. On arable lands, the population of Eurasian skylark is far greater than of other bird species. It is estimated that about 1/3 of skylarks in the European Union nests in Poland. The number in the country is at a constant level, as opposed to many other European countries where the species is actually disappearing.
Chyba słyszę skowronka.
I think I can hear a skylark. Oh, it's not surprising, we are in the field, and the skylark is the most numerous species here. In Poland, its density can be up to 6 couples on 10 hectares. Normally it's about 3 or 4 couples on 10 hectares. For comparison, in Western Europe, 2 couples on 10 hectares is a very good result.
Czyli co, generalnie z tym skowronkiem w naszym kraju nie
So the situation of the skylark in Poland is not bad at all. We are the mainstay of the skylark. Are there any negative trends observed in the population of skylark during the recent years?
Ta populacja jest dosyć stabilna. Od kilkunastu lat, mniej
The
więcej.
population is fairly stable. Over the past several years it has dropped by about 10%. Poland is the mainstay for all European skylarks. Open landscape is very frequent in our country. There are many fields and meadows which are beneficial for skylarks.
Na pewno otwarty krajobraz jest optymalny dla skowronka.
Open landscape is certainly optimum for skylarks, but what management practices in the agricultural landscape are best for them? What do you think determines that our country is the main stronghold of the skylark?
Jedno z najważniejszych ostoi skowronka w Europie.
Na liczebność tego skowronka na pewno wpływa fakt, że mamy dużą mozaikę.
Skylark population is certainly affected by the mosaic of various crops grown in Poland. There are both winter and spring cereals, potatoes, pastures, meadows and many field margins that favor skylarks.
Też dla niego ważne miejsce, może on tutaj zakładać gniazda.
The grey partridge is another bird species that is very specific to agricultural areas. While the population of the skylark in Lubelskie is doing well, partridges are in a worse position. Their population has declined strongly, both in the region and elsewhere in Poland. Currently, the total number of partridges in Poland is estimated at approximately 180,000 couples, but even 20 to 30 years ago, at least 3 million couples nested in the country. The reason for such a significant decline of its population is mainly agricultural intensification, including land consolidation, elimination of bogs and other landscape elements, and also the excessive use of pesticides, resulting in limited availability of food. In recent years, another factor has appeared, having an adverse impact on the partridge population. It is excessive predation, mainly from foxes, whose population has reached unprecedented levels. Although in recent years intensive agricultural production has been observed in many areas of Lubelskie, the region still has a great share of extensive agriculture. This extensive traditional agriculture promotes, protects and enhances biodiversity. Let's hope that the fields in the Lublin region will remain not only food production spots, but also a refuge for many species of plants and animals.